From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, an update tonight on a car chase shootout that turned police pursuit and crash late last night on Billings South Side. 30-year-old Ryan Barnhart is behind bars facing felony charges, and his passenger, 21-year-old Gabriel Castro, is jailed on a previous arrest warrant tonight. Just before midnight, a police officer saw Barnhart in a maroon truck exchanging gunfire with someone in a white passenger car at the intersection of South 28th and 8th Avenue South. Now, Barnhart allegedly led authorities all the way to the west end at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour for 16 minutes, and then back to the south side where he crashed into a parked car at 5th Avenue South and South 34th Street. Police arrested Castro on scene, located Barnhart hiding nearby, and later found a gun in the area of 5th and Broadwater. Well, Sweetgrass County Search and Rescue has recovered the body of a Billings man who fell into the Boulder River near Natural Bridge last May. The body of 38-year-old Joseph Crawford was discovered last Friday by a spelunker below the falls. Crawford was hiking in the area south of Big Timber when he walked off the marked trail and fell 50 to 60 feet into the water. Well, last night, Billings voters helped out the city. They helped to dig it out of a $4 million hole by passing a public safety mill levy. With new money coming in, what should you expect? Q2's Mitch Laggy sat down with the city administrator to find out.
In a 2-to-1 vote on Tuesday night, Billings voters overwhelmingly approved the public safety mill levy. Now, the city will gain an additional $4 million in the form of property taxes to go to fund police and firefighting services. But that money is only enough to keep those departments status quo. If the levy had failed, the city would have had to find ways to cut about $4.7 million from the 2021 budget.
This was really about retaining what we have. So the great news is we no longer have a $4.7 million deficit. That deficit is closer to a $500,000, and that's manageable. So really our revenues are much closer to our operations expenses.
Now, the owner of a Billings home worth $100,000 will see a $27 increase per year on their property tax bill. And the owner of a $200,000 home will pay an additional $54 per year. An aspect of the levy that's better for the city is that the dollar figure brought in will increase over time as more people and businesses move in, thus increasing the tax base. Part of the reason for the initial $4 million deficit is that the city hired 20 full-time positions between 2017 and 2020. The positions were added throughout the police and fire departments along with 911 dispatch. The new levy allows the city not to make layoffs, but it doesn't provide any room for growth in public safety.
This avoids us going back to staffing levels, say, of 2016, 2017. And that's really great news, because with not only our crime rates and response times, a challenge for us, all the demands for services are going up.
The Billings police and fire departments have seen calls for service nearly double since 2010, a trend that Kukulski suspects won't slow down. This means the city will likely bring another levy to voters sometime in the near future to look at expanding public safety services.
That's the kind of trend that we can't reverse on the same kind of status quo. We've got to figure out how to be more efficient, be more effective, and I'm going to be shocked if it's not going to require some additional resources in order to do that, well, as we are blessed with a growing community.
Kukulski said the city council could start to discuss another levy as early as this year. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Now, the city is waiting on results from a third-party statistical analysis on its public safety data. Once complete around the first of the year, it should help city leaders clearly identify places for future investment. Well, the upcoming general election will mean a move for the Yellowstone County Elections Office. Typically, the office moves to Metro Park for the last 2 days of the election, but this year that will happen on October 2nd. Elections Administrator Brett Rutherford says the early move will mean more room for election workers and more space for voters to socially distance as they register to vote or pick up a ballot.
still accept absentee ballots coming back to us at the county elections office, and we'll also have an ADA device for the disabled to use if they wish to use it. But we just cannot issue ballots at the county courthouse for this coming election. So if you're a late registrant or the dog eats your ballot and you need a replacement, you're going to have to go out to the Metro.
Rutherford also says if you plan on voting in the November 3rd general election, it is important to get registered as soon as possible and also notify the elections office if you have moved. Well, starting this week, the state of Montana will post information online about positive COVID-19 cases in schools. Governor Bullock made the announcement at a press conference earlier today. Now, data will be provided on all K through 12 and higher education schools across the state, and that includes private institutions. The school's name, number of positive cases, and county it's located will all be included. However, there will be no reporting on schools with fewer than 10 students to protect students' privacy.
This is a system that protects student data in small schools while also providing a basic level of information and the transparency and the trust that parents in our community need.
Now, that data will be reported every Wednesday on the Department of Public Health and Human Services website. State School Superintendent Elsie Arnson disagreed with the move on social media, saying it would increase the risk of exposing personal identifiable medical information. Well, today the state reports one more death out of Rosebud County tied to COVID-19, plus 190 new active cases across the state. 82 of those cases in Yellowstone County. Along with the death, there are 7 new cases reported today in Rosebud County, which at 365 now has the second highest number of active cases across the state. There are about 2,100 active cases total in Montana. The statewide death toll is now at 141. Well, right now, Missoula County reports 91 active COVID cases, nearly triple what the county had 1 week ago. 25 of those active cases can be traced back to the University of Montana. COVID incident commander Cindy Farr says the type of spread that's occurring is manageable for now. On the weather scene tonight, Bob, some hope for getting rid of our smoke.
Yeah, well, it's coming in the form of a big upper level low pressure. So you can see it here. It's off the Washington and Oregon coast right now, and it's sitting there and spinning. But what it's also doing is grabbing up a little bit of moisture and is starting to push it onshore. So we're already starting to see some showers over there by Vancouver and also western Washington out there in the Olympic Peninsula. But watch what happens. This low pressure cell, you can see it spinning there. It will eventually start pushing its way all the way in towards California and eventually start sending a little more smoke our way. So we're still going to be in and out of smoke off and on for the next several days. But as you can see, we still got issues out in western Montana. Air quality there continues to be unhealthy, while eastern divide is basically good to moderate at this point in time, and it's a little bit better. Also, we still have air quality issues out in western Montana as well. Anybody with respiratory problems will probably have a hard time breathing out there because the smoke is so thick and also all the particulate out there. Anyway, our forecast looks pretty good. We'll chat about that coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. Well, the air in Billings is a little less smoky today, but it's registering at moderate, which may be a concern for sensitive people. The DEQ's Today's Air website states the moderate air quality can be a problem for those with respiratory symptoms, for older adults with cardiopulmonary disease. Now, some suggest avoiding even the mildest outdoor activities, while others advise limiting any time outside. It's especially important for sensitive people to be careful if the quality moves from unhealthy to hazardous.
People that are unusually sensitive to air quality should probably minimize the amount of activity that they do out of doors. For people that don't have that aren't sensitive to air quality, it's not as much of concern until the amount of particulate matter gets up into the category of orange or red or purple.
Now, if you want to know your risk, the DEQ website has a map of what different air quality stations are picking up around the state and currently shows Billings as yellow or moderate. And now for an update on a ball of fur who is growing by the day out at Zoo Montana. Take a look. We first met Simpson, the gray wolf, in June at just 7 weeks old. He was abandoned by his pack near Condon, Montana. Today we learned he is not only growing and thriving at his new home here in Billings, but he's also getting acclimated to his new pack.
We have started introductions with Simpson and our other 2 wolves. We have a male and a female. They're both been here for about 9-10 years. So this is new for them, new for us. We've started off slow, just a barrier. We're trying to get Simpson to get a little more size to him. Now we have done free contact introductions with our male. It's went really well, and the female will be added very shortly.
And we will have a full story tomorrow night on Simpson and some fun video. We'll tell you how he's doing, so be sure to tune in at 5:30 on Thursday night. Well, up next on tonight's 5:30 News, we take a gamble on just how successful sports betting is in Montana. You might be surprised. And in sports, Scott checks in with Laurel's football guys, set on correcting nearly 100 yards in season-opening penalties.